Yeah, he's just your pop-up blocker.
We're live, gentlemen. How exciting. It's Monday, and Jeremiah, we're thrilled to have Brian Greenplate, CEO, President of Precision Cut Industries from Hanover, Pennsylvania, with us today. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Krisna. How are you today?
Great. Not as cold as you are, but Jeremiah are both thawed out here in Arizona. We hit 32 this week. But
all right.
Before we dive into talking about Precision Cut Industries and much more, we do have to put up on the screen our medical disclaimer that anything we discuss here today is for educational and informational purposes. This is not personal medical information. Do go to team@ifixhearts.com if you're interested in working with the Ovadia Heart Health team. All right, we've got the housekeeping done. Here we go, Jeremiah. I'm going to throw it to you.
Nice. Thank you, Krisna and Brian. So excited to have you.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Our first customer is our guest speaker. We've had a few guest speakers on, and I think, wow, Krisna, double digits in episodes. And Brian, what we've been doing, it's a commitment that we started last year to come on every Monday, educate, bring value about employee wellness, what we're doing, metabolic health. And we were just talking before you jumped on, you're easily one of our favorite leaders and clients this year for a number of reasons, but we want you to share your story a little bit about PCI and certainly the PCI way.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremiah. I appreciate you guys having me this evening. Wellness and healthcare, I think, comes easy for us. And I'll share a little bit of why I say that. At PCI, and we're a contract manufacturer in the metal industry. So what we do, we have about 150 employees who take pride day in and day out in producing fabricated metal parts for a variety of industries, the energy segment, food and beverage, medical, stuff with parts for data centers, so many different variety of industries, the commercial construction industry. And we place a tremendous value on our culture and the culture that our employees carry every day as they go about doing the critical work they do. And from that, a number of years ago, we created a program to help emphasize our culture called the PCI Way. And what it consists of is 30 fundamentals, or they're really behaviors that form our culture and really put a exclamation point on who we are. And the fundamentals range from things like fundamental number 1, deliver world-class service, or a fundamental that talks about honoring commitments. Or another fundamental touches base on respect your fellow employees. Another is check your ego at the door. And each week we have a fundamental of the week that we send a video out to all of our employees on a Sunday evening from one of our employees, one of our fellow employees, who defines what that fundamental means to them. And then we talk about that in team meetings throughout the week. And the next week we go to fundamental number 2, and we get to week 30, which is our 30th fundamental is have fun. Then we loop back to number 1 and we start over again. It's really around what I feel our most valuable resources are our employees, and they're the ones who really make a difference day in and day out, ensuring our customers get what they want with the right tolerances and the right finishes and the right products they need. And I would probably be remiss if I say our employees are our most valuable asset. And we talk so much about culture, but if we don't then talk about how we provide the right insight on wellness and help around on wellness for our employees as well. And that's where we got started with our PCI Way and our fundamentals of the week, our behaviors about 7 or 8 years ago. But we looped in the wellness program about 3 years ago. And a funny little story I could share. I was in a business meeting, an organization called Vistage, local chapters of an international organization with business leaders. And we had a speaker that day, and they bring in speakers on anything from operational management to sales and marketing. But they had one that day it was a wellness coach. And here we are, a bunch of CEOs sitting around the room thinking we're real smart. And the wellness coach said, "How many of you have a wellness program?" And we all raised our hand. And he said, "How many of you have vending machines with processed foods and sugars and everything in them?" And we all sort of had a sheepish look. And You guys don't have wellness programs," he said. And he was a great wellness coach, and his name was Dan Miller. And we brought him in to lead a wellness program in 2021, 2022. And around that time, and he spoke a lot of the things that Dr. Ovadia and you all speak of, Jeremiah and Krisna, with single ingredient food and limiting processed carbs and seed oils. And we started playing the groundwork then. But I'll admit, in late 21, I ended up deciding myself to get a coronary artery calcification score, a CAC score. And I always thought I was really healthy and had good blood markers my whole life. And I came back with like a high CAC score, and it really, I'll be honest, really scared me and shocked me. And I started reaching out to talk to somebody about it. And I found Dr. Ovadia online, and he and I started working together and talking about what could contribute to this high CAC score. And it really took what we were doing at PCI at the time to even to another level around education and wellness and the incredible knowledge Dr. Ovadia has. And then in 23, as you all know, we contracted with Dr. Ovadia and Krisna and Jeremiah and the iFix Heart team to really lead our wellness program at PCI then. And the number of on-site visits and trainings and blood screenings, and we have a tremendous number of success stories on the health side of so many employees who've been able to get off medications, blood pressure medication, and lost weight. And so it's really been a fun ride. But I feel like the wellness program just fits with our culture of our employees being our most valuable resource and asset that take care of our customers. And we really need to provide the right guidance and knowledge to educate our employees to the maximum extent so they can be healthy for their families, for PCI, for our customers, and all the things we want to do. So it's been fun connecting our culture with wellness through Dr. Ovadia and his team.
Yeah, that's awesome, Brian. And I know Krisna has too. I've felt the PCI way when I was there.
Thank you.
That culture is real and important, and we've talked a lot about that over the last few weeks. Krisna, I know you've got a bit there. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and the only way that wellness at any level is going to work when people can tap into their why they're at PCI and why they want to be healthy, right? That's one of the first questions we ask, because it's not about a number on the blood panel. It's about maybe being there for your kids, for your family, being there to be really a positive force at work. What do you think, Brian, being manufacturing is so specific? What do you think are some of the main issues in your industry when it comes to health?
I just think education, whether it be in the manufacturing industry or in other industries, I find that we've all sort of been programmed over the years around the food pyramid and those types of things that we were educated around growing up and over the years. And as you all say, I mean, you couldn't get the food pyramid more wrong if we tried, and it really needs to almost be inverted. And
yeah.
And I feel like the continual education of sort of reprogramming our minds around what is metabolic health, what's healthy food, what's not healthy food, and just how bad the seed oils and processed carbs and all those things that we were taught over the years to consume are for us. And I just think it's what we've been able to do with our manufacturing company with all of your help is that continual reinforcement and of education around what's really healthy for us. And all of us have issues we're dealing with short time spans. We say we don't have time to do this. I think you guys have done a great job at helping show all of us, even though our employees are in the manufacturing floor day in and day out, they're busy doing their profession, their jobs. There's still time in the day to get our exercise in, but more importantly, eat healthy. And I think just the continual education you provide us around that has been invaluable.
That's wonderful to hear. And it really is. It's almost like we have to unlearn stuff, right? Of the past 50 years. And it's been wonderful really to see the variety of people. You have a lot of different ages in your plant, in your company, both men and female, and the different ways that people have embraced. And even last time, someone sharing their story of quitting soda, right?
Yes.
And how their ability to do that is also helping within the household.
Absolutely.
And that's something we couldn't wish for more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
But-
Brian, rewind a little bit when you had to position this with the team and you were internalizing this, socializing it. How did you do that? How would a leader like you go about creating an employee wellness program, whether it be with us or, some other firm or just internally with their own team? How did you start that energy, that movement?
Well, that's a great question, Jeremiah. Over the years, as part of we're a self-insured company. And as part of that, we provided blood screens through a local health organization, local hospital to our employees once a year. And we would have some educational luncheons. But for me, when I ended up personally being affected by it and having a high CAC score and started working with Dr. Ovadia and really started educating myself around this, I felt compelled that we really needed to take what we had at the time of the wellness program really to another level, Jeremiah. And I felt very compelled to help educate all of our employees around the things that we've sort of maybe been misled about over the years in terms of what's a healthy diet and what's not a healthy diet. And I think for me, it was the personal shock of, wow, I got some issues here I got to deal with. I never thought I did.
Yeah.
And, I was athletic and never really gained a lot of weight, and my body type might be one, as Dr. Ovadia says, it might lead to levels of calcification. I certainly didn't eat as healthy as I should have, and it never really affected me. I just sort of powered through it. But I think that when the shock for me that I got a higher CAC score than I want to have, I felt really compelled to educate our employees around this and bring that knowledge to them. And like I said, it's hard to talk about culture and not really then care about our employees at a very deep level for their health, their wellness, their family, that they can come to work every day and feel energized and feel good about what they do.
It's powerful leadership.
Absolutely. And oftentimes in the health and wellness industry, we talk about personal experience gives us additional insight. Obviously, you had a personal experience with metabolic health and where you were. And that also kind of leads us into even the broader topic today about leading by example. There's a lot of companies out there that have great wellness plans on paper, but there's not much in the action, and there's not much really that's being,
Yep.
set by real examples. And that's what's really great about PCI is you're really leading by example.
Well, thank you. And I feel like as we've gone through this journey the last several years, we just have to continually remind ourselves, and it's almost a training process of how we train ourselves, as you said, Krisna, to relearn and think about health. And if you just do it once a year, it's not gonna absorb for any of us. And I love having your team here once a month or every 6 or 8 weeks, just continually reminding us around what it takes to be healthy and what metabolic health really means. And so that's I think it's a reinforcement. It's a continual learning process, and I consider us a learning company. Even when we produce our manufacturing parts, our products we produce for our customers, we always are about continuous improvement and learning. And I don't think this is any different. It's really continuous improvement and learning about our metabolic and about metabolic health and how we can be healthier for our families.
Absolutely. And every time we hear, even I've been in this industry for decades, and every time I hear someone else speak, there's always a little some nugget you can take away. And one of the things I enjoyed the most was our 5 video sessions on the 5 markers of metabolic health. And that leads me, Jeremiah.
I knew you were going to do that.
Every Monday, we made a promise. We're going to tell our audience what are the 5 markers of metabolic health: waist circumference, blood pressure, blood glucose, triglycerides, and HDL. That's one of our mottos.
Nice.
Very good.
Brian, what would you say? You highlighted one of the things that I think really makes our program special is the on-sites and the physical showing up and being a part of your team. What are some other things that you took away from our, going on 2 years of togetherness? And what are some of the best things that we're bringing to the table as a team for your team?
I think the continual education, Jeremiah, is so important. And I mentioned that before, but I can't overemphasize that. It's just the continually hearing that. it's a training process. And the other part that goes along with that, I think, is no employee is, or no individual is too young or too
Mhm.
old to embrace this. And I say that because of the fact my father is 81, still spends about 3 days, works 3 days a week in the company, and he's totally changed his metabolic health over the last several years. He's lost 30 pounds off all of his medications and probably in the best shape of his life at 81, and he's just totally embraced it. And then there's younger employees in their 20s who are really eager to learn, um, understand what it means to be healthy. And it's easy to say, I'm too old. It doesn't like too old for me, or I'm too young. I can worry about that later. I think one of the things you guys have really helped us understand is regardless of our age, regardless of our physical condition, it's never too late or too early to
Mm.
get going with this stuff.
That's
Oh.
awesome. And I didn't know that about your dad. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember having a conversation with one of your younger employees when he came up to me. He was real excited about how he changed from the seed oils and what fats he was cooking with now. And he's even had a little picture of what he was using. It had some tallow and some ghee in there. And it's like, oh yeah, thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And my younger son's 24, and he just went today to get a complete metabolic panel from with the help of you guys to really look at everything. It's good. It's good at even at that age to really start to understand what's going on.
Oh, I wish I would have at that
Yeah,
age.
I do too. Yeah.
Amazing, Brian. So if you were to guide maybe another CEO or president, that's just getting started or thinking about employee wellness or even looking at us, what would be some steps for them to take? What would you do if you were doing this for another organization or all over again? How would you start?
I think the first thing a CEO or a leader needs to do is really come to grips with it themselves. If they're passionate about it and they're serious about it, then it really comes down to educating themselves. A couple sessions with like all of you, Dr. Ovadia, on understanding what you can bring to their company or their organization in terms of the educational process, the challenges to get some excitement going. We have step challenges and different things we do in our organization. But I think just learning I believe that if the leader of the organization doesn't really endorse any program within an organization, whether it be a ISO 9000 quality program or a certain implementation, it just doesn't get the momentum it needs to really be properly implemented and be sustainable. So I think it really comes down to the leader deciding this is something that's important to me, and I'm going to educate myself around it and bring some subject matter experts in, like all of you, to help guide them and script and develop what a program might look like for another organization.
Awesome.
That's great stuff. And something that we kind of put a little more energy and time into this year is a little bit what you alluded to, your family members, but including the spouses and that sort of additional open to the program. How do you feel that is working, or any insights on that piece, Brian?
I think it's really good, Krisna. Thank you for bringing that up. Through our self-insured health program, we have another number of spouses involved in our health insurance, and we want to offer and extend that to them. We have incentives we've set up in part of our insurance rates for those who participate, and we wanted to be able to extend that to spouses as well. Krisna, you're leading an addiction group, and we say addiction, it sounds harsh, but it could be a smoking addiction, it could be a nicotine addiction, it could be a sugar addiction. And and I love what you're doing there. We have about 10 employees who are participating in that, who may have tried to give up nicotine before, and they're now taking another crack at it. Or sugar is incredibly addicting, and in many cases, in many ways, almost as bad as nicotine or worse. And so we have folks in the group from that perspective as well. So I love what you're doing there to help, and we have spouses who are interested in that as well.
Absolutely. And I have to say to that group, they are showing up,
That's
and
good.
that is the main thing, like many of us, whether we had a sugar addiction or a smoking addiction, we're probably going to quit many times, but there just might be that one time right in front of us where then it sticks. So I'm real proud of them.
I'm proud of both of you, actually, because when we were creating year 2, you guys had the vision to, Brian, you did and Chris, to create that model and that path for the spouse and the family. Yeah, that's amazing, you guys.
And like any program we get involved with, I think the more we focus on it, it evolves. And we have different thoughts for next year too. And I think the more we work together and we bounce ideas back and forth, there's good things happening and there's momentum building.
And speaking of a momentum, what do you think about the Make America Healthy Again movement?
No, I think it's fantastic. And just to continue education around all that, you guys have heard the stats. I think Kelly and Callie Means, if I got the name right, they've been so outspoken about how the issues we face as a country with metabolic health. And I believe we're the, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're the, is it the fourth? Let me put my information here. I got it somewhere. I don't have it right in front of me. We're one of the leading countries. We're one of the largest countries in the world, but we're like 69th in life expectancy. But 70% of the pharmaceutical profits come from the U.S. But we're like number 69 in life expectancy. Something doesn't add up there, and we become a country very dependent on pharmaceutical and medication as opposed to really solving the root cause through single ingredient foods, healthy living, healthy diet, and things that you guys preach day in and day out, which is so helpful to hear that message on a continual basis.
Yeah, we're the country that spends the most on healthcare and sort of gets the worst outcomes at the moment,
Exactly.
sadly. Just to remind everyone, again, Brian is CEO, president of Precision Cut Industries in Hanover, Pennsylvania. And how long has the company been in business?
The company has been in business since 1998. So this year, well, last year was 26 years, it'll be 27 years this year. I bought the business 20 years ago. We were about 3 million in sales, about 20 employees, and we'll do about 50 million this year with about 150 employees. So we've been able to grow the business. I am no longer president. I want to correct that. Shauna Seitz is our president. I'm still the CEO, but Shauna does a great job, and she is fully supportive of the all the work you all are doing, and it's been fun being able to grow the business over the years and really just have a positive influence on our customers, our employees, and it's great to be able to share with our employees now everything you guys help us with, week in and week out.
You guys are a terrific team, Brian and company.
Fantastic.
We're honored to do this work with you guys. Let's open it up. Let's open it up for questions for Brian, and while we do that, let's bring our call to actions, to the forefront, because we've done some amazing work. Krisna with our white papers, our fourth white paper is now published, and we have our strategy session team where you can dig in with Krisna and I and talk about everything that Brian was just alluding to and how he got started in creating an amazing program for his team.
Yeah, we have several white papers. We have a white paper on addiction in the workplace, on mindset matters when it comes to our health, sedentary behavior in the workplace, and our last one, which is definitely Brian here, is Lead by Example. And those are all free, available downloads. But congratulations, 50, that's quite a growth trajectory, Brian.
Thank you.
Also, congratulations to Shauna as president. I'm going to call her Madam President next time we're on site in Hanover. We've had a couple questions about what do you see the difference? We use the terms a lot with the Ovadia Heart Health that a lot of previous wellness programs were disease management focused, and we're trying to be metabolic health focused.
Yeah.
And maybe this is that educational piece in that word we've been throwing around. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I do think the education, and really, I think you guys get to, as opposed to how do we treat a symptom? How do you guys are more about how do we get to the root cause? How do we deal with those metabolic markers? How do we drive our insulin levels down? How do we drive our glucose levels down, our A1C levels down, our triglycerides down, raise our HDL, and really educate us around what are the most important markers? I mean, I love when Dr. Ovadia talks about high sensitivity C-reactive proteins being the check engine light. And if our inflammation is low, check engine light's off. When that's up, there's a reason it's up. So let's get to the root cause of what's going on. I think that information and that education is just so important. And let's get to the root cause. Like my father at 81, he's gotten off all these medications. He was on statins. He was on high blood pressure medication, and he's probably in the best shape of his life.
It's never too late, right, to
Yes.
begin on your metabolic health, and that
Yeah.
goes also for muscle, right? I was just
Exactly.
listening to a clip today from a Peter Attia episode with Luc van Loon from the Netherlands. He said you can build muscle at any age,
Absolutely.
any age. Well, Brian, any final thoughts as we think about wrapping up here? We're so honored that you came on the show with us today and that you trust us with your metabolic health for your employees.
We just appreciate everything you all do for us. Your whole team, a phenomenal team. Love the energy you guys bring, the time you take to go out of your way to really help us get to where we want to be. And we have so many success stories. They're great, and we'd love to hear those success stories from some of our employees. And that's what makes it really fun when you have an employee standing up saying, "I've lost 40 pounds and I cut out processed foods and seed oils and all those things we talk about." That's incredibly rewarding, and thank you for helping us achieve that.
Absolutely.
Awesome session, you guys. Brian, see you soon in spring. Krisna, thank
Absolutely.
you, leader. Well done.
Thank you.
Right.
Well done,
We'll
guys.
see you in
Thank you.
Hanover soon.
Absolutely.
Yes. And team,
Thank
we'll
you.
see you next Monday for another session here. Thank you.
Have a
Okay.
great evening, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.